Hey, what's up YouTube? Thanks for joining me here on Exploit Security. I am your host CyberMunky, and once again, we are going to be going over one of HacktheBox challenges, which is Beep. Now, Beep is a retired machine hosted by, once again, HacktheBox. I did have some difficulties with some certificate issues and working around the exceptions, but I managed to find a way. But there are multiple ways to exploit Beep and get access. So definitely check out those other ways. Once I got the root, I kind of read the walkthroughs. I always typically go through the walkthroughs afterwards just to see what other people did different to gain access to the machine and get the flag for root and or user or both. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So I've already ran the scans and everything, and we're not going to go into it or else it's going to take a lot of time. But I am going to do a quick summary of the scans that I actually did. Same as the previous videos, I run the same standard scans across the board. As you can see here with the default SYN scan, we got a few ports open, which is juicy. Definitely like the looks of that. It gives us a lot of options. This is the first machine on HacktheBox that I've actually gone through with more than 2 or 3 ports opened up. So I got really excited when I saw this. You definitely should too. It shows a lot of different lanes you can technically or hypothetically, attack from. So went ahead and jumped into the SYN scan just to see if there's anything else sitting open. We did get a couple more return results. Nothing too out of the ordinary from the first scan, and then we went ahead and did some version detection and OS detection. Now this is where it started getting interesting. We can see that many servers running on port 10,000 for HTTPD, Webmin, asterisk call manager. That was a really interesting one. I figured that was something along the lines of VoIP, voice over IP. I confirmed that during my research into it. Fairly confident you can exploit that. I'm actually 100% sure you can exploit that. I just wasn't sure how to. I needed an extension, and I wasn't really sure how to enumerate the extension and get that information. I did find out reading the walkthrough after I'd already gotten the flags, and it kind of ran me through some tools that I could use for attacking VoIP, so I will definitely keep that in mind. Hylafax, I really didn't chase that down too much. And then Cyrus has a couple juicy buffer overflows. I do need to work on my buffer overflows a little bit. I tried these attempts and I just didn't have success with them, so what that means for me is maybe I need to take a step back and work on my buffer overflows a little bit. I haven't gotten too much into them. Not as much as I probably should. I know there's going to be at least one buffer overflow on the OSCP, so I definitely got to step that up. And then we can see that there's a simple mail transfer protocol on 25 and then SSH running on 22. And then of course port 80 also has Apache 2.2.3 running, so that's something that is certainly worth checking out. So that's exactly what we did. And of course, I went ahead and closed it up with a UDP scan. Correct that, I did not run a UDP, and I had so much to go through here, I just kind of decided to ignore the UDP scan. Maybe not the wisest move. I should probably definitely get in the habit of just running all my same standard scans. But UDP can take so long and it ends up slowing down my machine when I'm trying to do multiple things. So I decided to come back to it if need be, but I figured with all these ports that were opened, I could probably just skip it for the time being instead of just constantly just doing port scanning and kind of get into it, especially since OSCP is a time test. So take that as you will. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but in this case, I decided I could just forego it completely. So when you open up 10.10.10.7, which is Beep, within the browser itself, you get this Elastic's login. Definitely interesting. This is actually what I ended up exploiting, and I will show you how. But just to give you guys some other ideas, or just to give everyone some other ideas, if we enter in that 10,000 port, it decides to load. I see. There you see we have the login for Webmin. Of course, I tried to go through here and log in a couple different ways. This could probably be brute forced. I didn't try it, to be honest with you, but it probably can if you really want to put in the time to brute force it. I like to try to avoid brute forcing wherever necessary, just because it can take a incredibly long amount of time and it can put a lot of stress on your machine as well. So if I can find an alternative other than brute forcing, I'll certainly go for that as well. And I also didn't have any usernames at the time, and I didn't find any usernames until I actually got within the machine itself. So to save myself from a lot of blind shooting with the username and the password, and just really increasing the amount of time it had to run through those algorithms, I decided just to kind of keep that in the back of my head. So we're going to go ahead and jump back over to port 80. So you can see we have elastics here, certainly interesting. I ended up finding a few exploits. I ran, I think, 2 of them for elastics. Let me actually take a look. So you can see here I keep my notes. So I tried the this exploit, which is an arbitrary file upload. No success on that. I also found this one, which was a graph PHP. Now, when I was trying to do web scanning, I was having a lot of issues because there was a certificate error, and I couldn't work around with the exceptions for the web scanners to go through. I just wasn't really having any success for it at all. So I just kind of started going through some of these exploits with them and trying to figure out kind of where to go and what to do and how to work around that web scanning tool. And as I was going through and reading this, I came across this. So right here, you can see this path for a URL, and it gives this whole entire thing. So since I couldn't run the web scanners and have any real success with them, I decided just to kind of see what happens if I drop this in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. When you drop it in, this is actually what you get. So you don't actually have to run the exploit. And side note, this exploit is actually within Metasploit as well, if I am correct. So definitely check that out. I believe, I want to say it is. In this case, I just pulled it off exploit B, and I did have some success with it. So when you get this to load up, it's pretty interesting. It's a whole big mess. You can export or copy it to a text file and grep for some stuff. In this case, I decided just to Control F and search for just password. And then you start to see some highlights here. You can read through it. In this case, I noticed that this really kept popping up. There's some other areas that kept popping up as well, worth taking note of. But this one popped up, so this was the first one that caught my eye, so I decided to give that a shot. So I went ahead and copied it. And then if we jump back to this login page, you can try playing around. I always try admin first and foremost, so we just went ahead and dropped in admin, paste in that password. And then you now have entry. So you can kind of go through here. There wasn't, I didn't really kind of dig around as much as I could have. I certainly could have dug around in here a little bit more, but once I saw I had entry in here, I was kind of curious to see where else I could get entry at. So one of the things that I did was went ahead and opened up a terminal. And I just wanted to see if I could log in with SSH. Now I didn't have any username, so I decided just to give root a shot. So that's what I did. 10.10.10.7. And we're going to go on and paste that password that we found. And there we go. We're able to log in. So that's really why I didn't go through the login for Elastics too much. I had already gotten entry into it. I figured I had the access to it. I can come back if need be to kind of dig through that as well. But I noticed that I kind of felt I really didn't have to go through here just yet, and I wanted to kind of follow this trail to see where it went. So we're just going to figure out who we are. So right off the bat, we already know that we have a root, which makes it incredibly easy. So we can just start by running some find commands, list the directory contents. You can see that the root.txt file is there. So we can go on and take a look at that. There's the flag for root, pretty simple to find it. Nothing too hard. Now, if you do want to get the user flag too, just for bragging rights, you can run the find command. Just enter user.text. And there we go. You can see that it's there's a user.text file within Fanis. So we're going to go on and copy that. And let's go on and take a look at that, see what that returns. And there you have it. So pretty quick. I would rate this pretty easy too. It actually took me a while to find a workaround for that exception. I was starting to feel a little bit desperate because the web scanning wasn't working, and I couldn't find the standard directories while doing my search really wasn't working out too well, and I wasn't having a lot of success there. I knew that I could probably kind of go through and exploit the voice over IP, so I kept that in the back of my mind. Cyrus, I know that there is a lot of vulnerabilities for that as well, for the POP3D and for IMAP. I found quite a few in there, as you can see. I really didn't go through those too much either. I did try the remote execution for Elastics, but I did find a couple for Cyrus that I hadn't had the opportunity to really go for and try to exploit, just because I managed on this. But there's certainly more ways to exploit this machine. So if you find a different way, I read through the walkthroughs and I found quite a few, but if you find a different way, there's no harm or foul in that. I mean, there's sometimes going to be multiple entry points into a machine or ingress routes. So by all means, if you find those, more hats off to you. I'm still in the beginning stages a little bit, so I'm taking what I know and I'm applying it, reading through the walkthroughs of other users post-exploitation to learn and pick up some ideas. So hopefully we can start implementing those ideas I'm seeing on there and start implementing into my process a little bit. But I hope you guys enjoy the content. Like I said, I'd probably rate Beep at easy. I would probably put a little bit higher just because that certificate was kind of a pain to work around. But from what I was reading, most people had the same issues. Some were able to get around that certificate issue. In this instance, I couldn't add the exception to go through it. So the web scanners just were getting stuck. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the content. Thanks for staying tuned in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support goes a long way. I'll be posting more and more content in the future. Hopefully I can keep it on a weekly basis and you guys are able to jump in, subscribe so you can catch those videos as we go. Shout out to Brian for posting the recommendation for changing my camera square, moving it from the bottom left, which blocked a lot of the commands, to the top right. So I hope this helps, Brian. If you are watching this video, let me know. If you guys have any other recommendations, please be sure to add them in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I will catch everyone in the next video. Later, everyone.